The Dream of the Stone. In the tranquil heart of an ancient Zen monastery nestled between rolling hills and whispering bamboo groves, there lay a garden unlike any other. This garden was not famed for its exotic flowers or rare trees, but for its stones, each one carefully placed, each one holding a story. Among them was a stone neither large nor small, neither dazzling nor dull. It was a simple, smooth stone grey as the morning mist resting quietly near a mossy lantern. Its name was forgotten by the monks, but its presence was as steady as the earth itself. Every day the stone watched the world unfold. It observed the monks as they swept the garden paths at dawn, their straw brooms brushing away fallen leaves with gentle rhythmic strokes. It listened to the laughter of young novices as they chased dragonflies by the koi pond. It felt the warmth of sunlight in the afternoon and the cool caress of evening dew. The stone had no desire, no ambition, at least that was what it believed. But one night, as the moon hung low and luminous above the silent temple, a strange feeling stirred within the stone. The garden was bathed in silver light, and the shadows danced softly across the raked gravel. The stone found itself gazing up at the sky at the endless tapestry of stars, and for the first time in its long, unmoving life, it wondered what it would be like to fly. As the stone drifted into a dream, its imagination soared. It felt its weight dissolve, its hardness melt away until it was as light as a feather, as free as the wind. In its dream, the stone lifted gently from the earth, rising above the garden, above the tiled roofs of the monastery, higher and higher into the night sky. The world below became a patchwork of shadows and moonlit shapes, the bamboo groves waving like a sea of green. The stone floated past the bell tower, where the great bronze bell hung silent and still. It glided over the sleeping monks, their faces serene in the soft glow of the moon. It drifted beyond the temple walls over the winding river that sparkled like a ribbon of silver over fields of rice and tiny villages where lanterns flickered in the darkness. As it ascended, the stone felt a joy. It had never known a sense of boundless possibility of being unshackled from the earth. It soared among the clouds, weaving between their billowy forms, feeling the cool mist upon its surface. It danced with the wind, spinning and tumbling, laughing in the language of stones. For a time, the stone forgot it had ever been anything but free. It forgot the feel of moss beneath its belly, the sound of rain pattering against its back, the steady rhythm of the seasons passing by. All it knew was the exhilaration of flight, the wonder of seeing the world from above. But as the night deepened, the stone began to sense something missing. The wind, once exhilarating, now felt cold and lonely. The stars, though beautiful, seemed distant and indifferent. The higher it rose, the more it longed for the familiar embrace of the earth, the comforting weight of stillness. In its dream, the stone looked down and saw the garden far below, a tiny oasis of peace in a vast, restless world. It remembered the laughter of the novices, the gentle hands of the monks, the quiet companionship of the other stones. It remembered the way the moss tickled its sides, the way the lantern cast a warm glow in the evening. It realized that in its longing to fly, it had forgotten the simple joys of being exactly where it was. With a gentle sigh, the stone let itself fall. It drifted down through the clouds past the bell tower, over the sleeping temple, until it settled once more in its familiar place by the mossy lantern. As it touched the earth, it felt a deep sense of peace, a contentment that came not from soaring above the world, but from being part of it. The stone awoke with the first light of dawn. The garden was quiet, the air cool and fresh. A novice passed by, pausing to brush a fallen leaf from the stone's surface. The stone felt the warmth of the boy's hand, the gentle weight of the leaf, the soft hum of life all around. It realized that it did not need to fly to be free. True freedom, it understood, was not a matter of movement, but of acceptance, of being fully present, fully alive, exactly where one is. The days passed, and the stone watched the world with new eyes. It noticed the way the sunlight played on the water, the way the wind rustled the bamboo, the way the seasons painted the garden in endless shades of green and gold. It listened to the stories whispered by the other stones, the songs of the birds, the laughter of the children. It felt the steady pulse of life, the quiet miracle of existence. Sometimes, when the moon was full and the garden was bathed in silver light, the stone would remember its dream. It would gaze up at the sky and smile, knowing that it had touched the stars, if only for a moment. But it no longer longed to fly. It was content to rest, to witness, to simply be. And so the stone remained in the garden year after year, century after century. It watched generations of monks come and go, seasons change the world. Turn, it became a silent teacher, a symbol of stillness and acceptance. Those who paused to rest beside it often found their hearts growing lighter, their worries fading away. They would sit in silence, feeling the peace that radiated from the stone, and leave with a sense of calm they could not explain. The stone's dream was never spoken of, never written down, but its lesson lingered in the hearts of all who visited the garden. That true happiness is not found in chasing after distant stars, but in embracing the beauty of the present moment. That even the most ordinary stone can hold a universe of wonder if only we take the time to notice. As the years rolled on, the stone became part of the legend of the monastery. Novices would whisper about the stone that once dreamed of flying, and elders would smile, remembering their own restless nights and wild imaginings. The garden flourished, the temple thrived, and the stone remained a quiet witness to the dance of life. And so, under the endless sky in the heart of the ancient garden, the stone rested. It had dreamed of flying, and in doing so had learned the greatest secret of all. That peace is not found in distant places, but in the gentle acceptance of where we are, right here, right now. As the night deepens and the world grows still, may you too find the peace of the stone. May your dreams carry you to wondrous places, but may your heart always find its way home. Let the gentle wisdom of the stone guide you into restful sleep, and may you awaken with a sense of calm, ready to greet the new day with open eyes and a grateful heart. The Zen master and the sounds of the night. In the heart of a remote mountain valley, where mist clung to the pines and the river sang its eternal song, there stood an ancient Zen monastery. Its wooden halls, weathered by centuries of wind and rain, echoed with the quiet footsteps of monks who moved like shadows through the dawn and dusk. The air was crisp, scented with cedar and incense, and the silence was so deep that even the softest sound seemed to ripple through the world. Within this monastery lived Master Hoshin, a man whose beard was as white as the first snow, and whose eyes sparkled with the mischief of a child. He was known for his gentle wisdom and his love of the night. While others sought rest when the sun dipped behind the mountains, Master Hoshin would often wander the gardens, his robes whispering against the stone paths, listening to the world as it fell into slumber. One evening, as the last rays of twilight faded and the lanterns in the temple flickered to life, a young monk named Kaito approached Master Hoshin. Kaito was earnest and diligent, but his mind was always busy chasing thoughts like leaves in a storm. He bowed deeply, his voice barely more than a whisper. "Master, I cannot sleep." Kaito confessed, "My mind is filled with worries and questions. The silence of the night only makes them louder. How can I find peace?" Master Hoshin smiled, his face creasing into 1,000 gentle lines. "Come," he said, "let us walk together." They moved in silence through the moonlit courtyard, past the silent bell tower and the sleeping koi pond. The world was hushed, but not empty. Crickets sang their ancient songs in the grass. Somewhere a nightingale called to its mate. The wind rustled the bamboo and the river murmured secrets to the stones. "Listen," Master Hoshin said softly, pausing beneath a blossoming cherry tree. "What do you hear?" Kaito closed his eyes, straining to focus. "I hear the crickets, the river, the wind in the bamboo." "And what else?" the master asked. Kaito listened harder, but his mind grew restless. Thoughts of tomorrow's chores, of lessons not yet learned, of fears unnamed crowded in. "I hear my own thoughts," he admitted, his voice tinged with frustration. "They are loudest of all." Master Hoshin nodded. "The mind is like a pond. When the surface is stirred, it reflects nothing clearly. But if you let it settle, the moon will appear." They sat beneath the tree, the night deepening around them. Master Hoshin closed his eyes, breathing slowly, his presence as calm as the earth. Kaito tried to follow, but his thoughts darted and spun, refusing to be still. After a while, Master Hoshin spoke again. "Let us play a game. For each sound you hear, let go of one thought. Replace it with the music of the night." Kaito tried. He listened to the chirp of a cricket and let go of his worry about tomorrow's meditation. He heard the gentle splash of a fish in the pond and released his anxiety about a mistake he had made earlier. The wind sighed through the trees, and he let go of his fear of failing his master. Slowly, the cacophony in his mind softened. The sounds of the night grew clearer, more vivid. He could hear the delicate rustle of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, the soft breathing of the earth itself. Each sound was like a bell calling him back to the present moment. "Do you feel it?" Master Hoshin asked, his voice barely more than a breath. Kaito opened his eyes. The world seemed different, richer, deeper, more alive. The night was no longer empty or frightening. It was full of life, of stories, of gentle miracles. "I do," Kaito whispered. "The night is singing." Master Hoshin smiled. "The world is always singing. We only need to listen." They sat together in silence, the master and his student bathed in moonlight and the music of the night. Time slipped away, and Kaito felt his heart slow, his mind settle. He was no longer chasing thoughts or running from silence. He was simply present, a part of the great song of the world. As the hours passed, Kaito's eyelids grew heavy. He felt a peace he had never known, a quiet joy that filled him from within. He understood at last that peace was not the absence of sound or thought, but the gentle acceptance of all that was. The night, with all its sounds and silences, was perfect just as it was. When dawn touched the sky with pale gold, Master Hoshin rose and stretched. "Come, Kaito, the world awakens." They walked back to the monastery, their footsteps light as feathers. The garden glistened with dew, and the first birds greeted the sun. Kaito felt refreshed, as if he had slept 1,000 years. He bowed to his master, gratitude shining in his eyes. "Thank you, master," he said. "I have found peace in the sounds of the night." Master Hoshin smiled, his eyes twinkling. Remember, Kaito, the song of the world is always there. Whenever your mind grows restless, listen. Let the music guide you home. From that day forward, Kaito no longer feared the silence of the night. When worries troubled his mind, he would walk beneath the stars, listening to the crickets, the river, the wind. He learned to let go of his thoughts one by one, until all that remained was the gentle, healing song of the world. And so, in the ancient monastery, under the watchful gaze of the mountains and the moon, Kaito found the peace he had sought, not in silence, but in the living symphony of the night. The lesson of Master Hoshin became a lantern in his heart, guiding him through the darkness, reminding him always to listen to, let go, and to be. May you too, as you drift into sleep, find comfort in the sounds around you, the whisper of the wind, the hum of distant life, the quiet beating of your own heart. Let each sound be a gentle hand, leading you into rest, into peace, into the deep and healing silence that lies beyond all thought. Sleep well, and may the music of the night carry you to dreams filled with light. The Laughing Bamboo. In the far reaches of a misty mountain range, where clouds drift lazily and the sunlight filters through ancient trees, there stood a Zen monastery famed not for its size or its treasures, but for a peculiar grove of bamboo that grew within its walls. The monastery itself was humble, its wooden beams worn smooth by the hands of generations, its gardens carefully tended, and its air always filled with the fragrance of pine and incense. But it was the bamboo, tall and slender, that drew the curiosity of all who visited. The bamboo grove was unlike any other in the land. When the wind swept through, the stalks would sway and bend, producing a sound that was not the usual rustling, but a series of gentle melodic chuckles. It was as if the bamboo, touched by the mountain breeze, had learned to laugh. This laughter was soft, never raucous, and it seemed to carry a secret joy that lingered in the air long after the wind had passed. The monks believed the bamboo was blessed, a gift from the spirits of the mountain. They called it the Laughing Bamboo, and it became both a symbol and a mystery, one that inspired stories, poems, and meditations. But for young monk Ren, the laughter of the bamboo was a puzzle he could not solve. Ren was new to the monastery, having arrived only a few months before. He was earnest and eager, but he often found himself troubled by doubts. While other monks meditated with serene faces, Ren's mind was a storm of questions. Why did the world contain suffering? Why did the bamboo laugh when there was so much sorrow? Why did he, Ren, feel so heavy when the bamboo seemed so light? One evening, after a long day of chores and meditation, Ren wandered into the bamboo grove. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. The air was cool, the shadows long. Ren sat beneath the tallest stalk, closed his eyes, and listened. At first, all he could hear was the beating of his own heart and the distant calls of night birds. But as the wind began to stir, the bamboo started its gentle song. The stalks swayed their leaves, brushing against each other, and a soft, rippling laughter filled the grove. It was a sound unlike any Ren had ever heard, playful, soothing, and utterly free. Ren opened his eyes and looked up. The bamboo seemed to dance in the fading light, their slender bodies bowing and rising with the breeze. Ren felt a pang of envy. How could the bamboo laugh so easily while he struggled with the weight of his thoughts? That night, Ren sought out the abbot master Jiro, a man as old as the mountains themselves, whose wisdom was said to be as deep as the valley below. Ren bowed low and spoke his heart. "Master," he said, "why does the bamboo laugh? Every time the wind passes, they seem to find joy. Yet my mind is heavy and my heart is troubled. How can I learn to laugh like the bamboo?" Master Jiro smiled, his eyes twinkling with kindness. "Come, Ren, walk with me." They strolled through the moonlit garden, the sound of the bamboo laughter following them like a gentle echo. Master Jiro stopped and gestured to the grove. "Tell me, Ren, what do you see?" Ren looked at the bamboo, their green stalks glowing in the silver light. "I see the bamboo swaying. I see them bending with the wind." "And do they resist the wind?" the master asked. Ren shook his head. "No, master. They bend, but they do not break." "Exactly," said Master Jiro. "The bamboo does not fight the wind. It does not cling to its own shape or worry about its place. It simply moves with what comes, and in that movement it finds laughter." Ren pondered this. "But, Master, I am not bamboo. I am human. My mind is full of thoughts, worries, fears, regrets. How can I let go as easily as the bamboo?" Master Jiro placed a gentle hand on Ren's shoulder. "The bamboo teaches us the art of yielding. When the wind blows, it does not stiffen with pride or tremble with fear. It surrenders, and in that surrender it discovers freedom. You too can learn to yield. When thoughts arise, do not cling to them. Let them come and go like the wind through the grove. If you can do this, you will find the laughter that lives in your own heart." Ren spent the next days practicing this lesson. Each morning he would sit in the grove, closing his eyes and listening to the laughter of the bamboo. When worries crept into his mind, he would imagine them as gusts of wind passing through but never staying. Slowly he began to feel lighter. His thoughts, once heavy and tangled, became softer, easier to release. One afternoon, as a storm gathered in the mountains, the wind began to howl. The bamboo grove shivered and shook, their laughter rising above the roar. Ren watched as the stalks bent low, almost touching the ground, but never snapping. When the storm passed, the bamboo stood tall once more, their laughter now a gentle whisper. Ren realized then that the bamboo's laughter was not the absence of hardship, but the acceptance of it. The bamboo did not fear the wind. It welcomed it, danced with it, and let it go. In this way, the bamboo was never broken, always renewed. That night, Ren returned to Master Jiro, his eyes bright with understanding. "Master," he said, "I think I understand. The bamboo laughs not because life is easy, but because it does not resist what comes. It yields, and in yielding it finds joy." Master Jiro nodded. "Yes, Ren, to laugh like the bamboo is to trust the flow of life. To yield is not to give up, but to open oneself, to change, to let go of pride and fear. In this way, we become light, and laughter arises naturally." From that day forward, Ren was changed. He still faced challenges, still felt sorrow and doubt, but he no longer clung to them. When troubles came, he remembered the bamboo bending, but never breaking, laughing with the wind. He learned to greet each moment with openness, to let go of what he could not control, and to find joy in the simple act of being alive. The other monks noticed the change in Ren. His face grew softer, his eyes brighter. He laughed more easily, and his laughter, like the bamboo's, was gentle and contagious. The monastery felt lighter, as if the bamboo's joy had spread to every corner. Travelers who visited the monastery often remarked on the strange, beautiful sound of the laughing bamboo. Some said it was the wind, others believed it was the spirits of the mountain. But those who listened closely, who sat quietly among the swaying stalks, sometimes heard another sound, a quiet human laughter mingling with the bamboo, rising and falling with the breeze. And so the legend of the laughing bamboo grew. It became a symbol of resilience, of the beauty found in yielding, of the joy that comes from letting go. The monks would tell the story to new novices, reminding them that life, like the wind, cannot be controlled, but it can be embraced. As the years passed, Ren became a teacher, guiding others with the wisdom he had learned from the bamboo. He would lead students into the grove, invite them to sit and listen to, let go of their worries, and to discover the laughter that lived within them. On quiet nights, when the moon hung low and the wind was gentle, the bamboo would laugh and Ren would smile, knowing that he too was part of the great dance of life, a dance of yielding, of laughter and of peace. May you, as you listen to the laughter of the world around you, remember the lesson of the bamboo. When the winds of life blow strong, may you bend, not break. May you find joy in yielding, and may your heart be as light as the laughter that drifts through the bamboo grove. Sleep now, and let the gentle laughter of the bamboo carry you into dreams of peace, resilience, and quiet joy. Tea under the moonlight. In the heart of a tranquil valley where the mountains stood like ancient sentinels and the river shimmered beneath the stars, there was a Zen monastery renowned for its simplicity and peace. The monastery's gardens were a living poem, mossy stones, raked gravel, and winding paths that led to quiet corners where one could sit and listen to the world breathe. But among all the rituals and daily routines, there was one tradition that stood out: a nightly tea ceremony held under the gentle gaze of the moon. The master of the monastery, known as Elder Sora, was a man of few words but endless presence. His eyes, deep and calm, seemed to reflect the phases of the moon itself. Every evening, as dusk settled and the world softened into twilight, Elder Sora would prepare tea in the garden. He would sit on a simple mat, a low wooden table before him, and wait for the moon to rise. The monks, young and old, would gather in silence, drawn by the quiet magic of the ritual. On a night when the moon was full and luminous, casting silver shadows across the garden, a young novice named Akio approached Elder Sora. Akio was diligent and kind, but his mind was always restless, darting from thought to thought like a dragonfly over water. He bowed deeply before the master, his heart full of questions he could not name. Master Akio began softly, "I struggle to find peace in my practice. My thoughts are noisy and my heart is unsettled. Why do we drink tea under the moonlight? What does it teach us?" Elder Sora smiled, his hands moving gracefully as he poured hot water into a simple clay teapot. The steam curled upward, catching the moonlight, and for a moment it seemed as though the tea itself was touched by the stars. "Sit with me, Akio," the master said, his voice as gentle as the night breeze. "Let us share tea together and see what the moon reveals." Akio sat folding his legs beneath him and watched as Elder Sora prepared the tea. Each movement was deliberate yet effortless, the way he measured the leaves, the slow pour of water, the steady hand that lifted the pot and set it down. There was a rhythm to the ritual, a silent music that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the earth. As the tea steeped, the garden filled with the scent of jasmine and green leaves. The other monks sat in a circle, their faces serene, their eyes reflecting the moon's glow. No one spoke. The only sounds were the whisper of wind through bamboo and the distant call of a night bird. Elder Sora poured the tea into 2 small cups and handed one to Accio. The cup was warm in Accio's hands, grounding him in the present moment. He looked down and saw the moon reflected in the surface of the tea, a perfect trembling circle of light. "Look, Accio," Elder Sora said quietly, "the moon in your cup." Accio gazed at the reflection, mesmerized. "It's beautiful, Master, but it's only a reflection. The real moon is in the sky." Elder Sora nodded. "Yes, and yet in this moment the moon is here with us. The tea, the cup, the moonlight, each is part of this moment. When we drink tea under the moon, we are reminded to be present to see the world as it is without longing or regret." Accio sipped the tea. It was delicate and pure, the warmth spreading through his body like a gentle tide. For the first time that day, his mind grew quiet. The worries that had chased him all evening faded into the background, replaced by the simple act of tasting, breathing, being. The Master continued. "Tea is a humble thing, just leaves and water. But when we prepare it with care, when we drink it with mindfulness, it becomes a doorway to peace. The moon does not strive to shine, it simply is. In the same way, we do not need to force our minds to be still. We only need to notice what is here now." Accio closed his eyes and listened. He heard the soft clink of cups, the rustle of robes, the distant murmur of the river. He felt the cool night air on his skin, the warmth of the tea in his hands, the steady presence of the Master beside him. In that moment, he understood peace was not something to be chased or grasped. It was already here, waiting to be noticed. As the ceremony ended, Elder Sora poured the last of the tea, his movements as calm as the surface of a pond. He looked at Accio and smiled. Each night the moon rises, and each night it is different. Some nights it is full and bright, other nights it is hidden behind clouds. Our minds are like this too, sometimes clear, sometimes clouded. But no matter what, the moon is always there, just as peace is always within us. The monks bowed in gratitude, their hearts lighter than when they had arrived. Accio lingered, watching the moon climb higher into the sky. He felt a quiet joy, a sense of belonging to the vast, mysterious world. The tea ceremony had not answered all his questions, but it had given him something deeper, a taste of presence, a sip of stillness, a glimpse of the moon within himself. Night after night, Accio returned to the garden, joining the others in silent communion with the moon. He learned to let his thoughts drift by like clouds, to savor each sip of tea, to find beauty in the ordinary. Over time, his restlessness softened, replaced by a gentle curiosity and an abiding peace. The tradition of tea under the moonlight continued year after year through seasons of blossom and snow. New novices arrived bringing their own questions and doubts, and Elder Sora welcomed them all with the same quiet wisdom. The garden remained a sanctuary, a place where the moon's light and the taste of tea could heal even the busiest mind. And so, in the heart of the valley beneath the endless sky, the monks drank tea and watched the moon. They learned again and again that peace is not found in distant places or future dreams, but in the simple, mindful act of being present together under the gentle gaze of the moon. As you drift into sleep, imagine yourself in that quiet garden, a cup of tea warming your hands, the moonlight bathing you in silver calm. Let the worries of the day fade away replaced by the soft, steady presence of now. May your dreams be peaceful, your heart light, and your spirit as serene as tea under the moonlight. The lamp and the darkness in a quiet Zen monastery nestled deep in the mountains, where the mist clung to the pines and the world seemed to pause between breaths, there lived a young monk named Taro. The monastery was a place of peace and discipline, where every day began with the sound of the temple bell and ended with the hush of evening prayers. The monks lived simply tending the gardens, sweeping the paths, and meditating together in the great hall. But for Taro, nightfall brought a familiar unease. While the other monks found comfort in the darkness, Taro's mind would fill with shadows. Every creak of the wooden floor, every whisper of wind outside his window seemed to grow louder in the absence of light. He would lie awake, his heart fluttering, wishing for dawn. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains and the sky turned a deep indigo, Taro approached the wise abbot Master Genjo. The abbot was a gentle soul, his face lined with years of laughter and contemplation. He sat in the garden, lighting a small oil lamp as the first stars appeared overhead. Master Taro said, "Bowing low, I am troubled by the darkness. When night falls, I feel lost and afraid. The shadows seem to press in and I cannot find peace. How can I overcome this fear?" Master Genjo looked at Taro with kind eyes and gestured for him to sit. He placed the lamp between them, its flame flickering softly in the growing gloom. "Taro," the abbot said, "let us sit with the darkness together. Watch the lamp and tell me what you see." Taro gazed at the lamp. Its golden light cast a gentle circle on the ground, pushing back the night. Beyond the circle, the garden faded into shadow, mysterious and silent. "I see the light," Master Taro replied. "It is warm and comforting, but beyond it there is only darkness." Master Genjo nodded. "Yes, the lamp gives us light, but it also reminds us of the darkness that surrounds it. Many people fear the night just as you do. But tell me, what is the darkness?" Taro hesitated. "It is the absence of light. It is emptiness, the unknown." The abbot smiled. "And is the darkness your enemy, or is it simply another part of the world?" Taro thought for a moment. "I suppose it is just another part of the world, but it feels cold and frightening." Master Genjo leaned closer, his voice soft and steady. "Let us try something. Close your eyes and listen." Taro obeyed. At first, he heard only the sound of his own breathing. Then, gradually, he noticed the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind, the distant call of an owl, the soft chirping of crickets. The darkness was not empty at all. It was alive with quiet sounds, with the heartbeat of the night. "Open your eyes, Taro," the abbot said. "What do you feel now?" Taro opened his eyes and looked at the lamp, then at the darkness beyond. The fear had faded, replaced by a sense of wonder. "I feel calm, Master. The darkness is not as frightening as I thought. It is full of life." Master Genjo nodded. "The lamp and the darkness are no enemies. They exist together, each giving meaning to the other. Without darkness, we would not see the beauty of the lamp's light. Without light, we would not know the depth of the night." He picked up the lamp and held it in his hands. "Sometimes we think we must banish the darkness to find peace. But true peace comes from accepting both light and shadow. The darkness is not something to be feared, but to be understood. It is a place of rest, of dreams, of quiet growth." Taro listened, his heart lighter than before. He realized that his fear was not of the darkness itself, but of what he imagined it to be. The darkness was simply a part of life, as natural as the sunrise or the falling rain. The abbot set the lamp down and smiled. When you feel afraid, remember the lamp. Let its light guide you, but do not turn away from the night. Sit with it, listen to its quiet song, and you will find peace. That night, Taro returned to his room. He left the window open, letting the cool night air fill the space. He watched the shadows dance on the walls and listened to the sounds of the garden outside. Instead of turning away, he welcomed the darkness, letting it wrap around him like a soft blanket. As the days passed, Taro's fear faded. He learned to meditate in the dark, to walk the garden paths by moonlight, to find comfort in the gentle hush of night. The lamp became his companion, a reminder that light and darkness are two sides of the same coin. The other monks noticed the change in Taro. His eyes grew brighter, his step lighter. He laughed more easily, and his presence brought calm to those around him. When novices confessed their own fears, Taro would share the lesson of the lamp and the darkness, guiding them to see the beauty in both. Seasons changed, and the monastery flourished. The garden bloomed in spring, glowed in summer, blazed with color in autumn, and rested beneath a blanket of snow in winter. Through it all, Taro found peace in the dance of light and shadow, day and night. One evening, as the moon rose high and the stars shimmered above, Taro sat in the garden with Master Genjo. The lamp flickered between them, its flame steady and bright. "Thank you," Master Taro said quietly. "I am no longer afraid of the darkness. I have learned to see its beauty, to listen to its song." Master Genjo smiled, his eyes shining in the lamplight. "You have found the true light, Taro, the light that shines within even in the darkest night." And so the lamp and the darkness became symbols of harmony, of acceptance, of peace. The monks of the mountain monastery learned to cherish both, finding wisdom in the gentle balance of shadow and flame. As you close your eyes tonight, remember the lesson of Taro and the lamp. Let the darkness be your friend, a place of rest and renewal. Trust in the light within you, and let it shine gently, guiding you through the night and into the promise of a new day. Sleep well, and may the lamp of your heart burn bright even in the deepest darkness. The unusual fish in the temple. Pond. In the heart of a tranquil Zen monastery, nestled between rolling hills and shaded by ancient pines, there was a pond of remarkable clarity. The water was so still that it mirrored the sky, and so pure that one could see every pebble resting on its sandy bottom. The monks tended the pond with gentle care, believing it to be a symbol of the mind, clear, deep, and calm. Among the koi and golden carp that glided gracefully through the water, there lived a fish unlike any other. This fish was not the largest nor the most beautiful. Its scales shimmered with a subtle silvery blue, and its eyes were bright and curious. What set this fish apart was its habit of swimming against the current. While the other fish circled lazily in the gentle flow, the unusual fish would dart upstream, leaping over tiny ripples and weaving through the reeds with determined energy. The monks soon noticed the fish's peculiar behavior. Some found it amusing, others puzzling. But for a young novice named Emi, the fish became a source of fascination and quiet inspiration. Emi was new to the monastery, still learning the ways of Zen. She often struggled with feelings of not belonging, of being different from the other novices who seemed so at ease in their routines. She would sit by the pond for hours, watching the unusual fish, wondering why it chose to swim against the flow. One afternoon, As the sun cast golden patterns on the water, Emmy approached the wise abbot Master Daichi. The abbot was tending the lotus flowers at the pond's edge, his hands moving with the patience of one who understood the language of growing things. Master Emmy began bowing respectfully. Why does that fish swim against the current? All the others move together, but this one is always alone, always struggling upstream. Is it lost? Or is it simply stubborn? Master Daichi smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Come, Emmy, sit with me and let us watch the fish together. They sat in silence, the only sound the gentle splash of water and the distant ringing of a temple bell. The unusual fish swam tirelessly, its body shimmering as it moved against the flow. Tell me, Emmy, the abbot said at last, what do you see when you watch this fish? Emmy thought for a moment. I see a fish that is different. It does not follow the others. It seems to work so hard, but for what purpose? Wouldn't it be easier to go with the flow? Master Daichi nodded. Perhaps. But sometimes what is easy is not what is right for us. This fish follows its own path, even when it is difficult. It does not compare itself to the others, nor does it seek their approval. It simply swims as it is moved to swim. Emmy looked at the fish, her heart stirring with a strange sense of kinship. But doesn't it get lonely? Master, doesn't it wish to belong? The abbot's gaze softened. We all wish to belong, Emmy, but true belonging does not come from being the same as others. It comes from being true to ourselves, from honoring the unique path that life has given us. The pond is richer for the presence of this unusual fish, just as the world is richer for each unique soul. Emmy sat quietly, letting the words settle in her heart. She realized that she too had been swimming against the current in her own way, struggling to fit in, to understand the teachings, to find her place in the monastery. Like the fish, she often felt alone, uncertain if her differences were a flaw or a gift. As days turned to weeks, Emmy continued to visit the pond. She watched the unusual fish with new eyes, seeing not struggle, but courage. She noticed how the fish's movements stirred the water, creating ripples that touched every corner of the pond. She saw how the other fish, curious and emboldened, sometimes followed its lead, venturing into new parts of the pond they had never explored. One morning, after a night of heavy rain, the current in the pond grew stronger. The unusual fish fought its way upstream, leaping higher than ever before. Emmy watched, her breath held tight in her chest, as the fish reached the far end of the pond, where a small waterfall tumbled over mossy stones. With a final burst of energy, the fish leapt up the waterfall and disappeared into the stream above. The monks gathered by the pond, murmuring in awe at the fish's feat. Some wondered if it would return, others worried it had been lost. But Master Daichi simply smiled and turned to Emmy. Sometimes, when we follow our own path, we discover new worlds, he said. The fish has found its way to the stream, to a life beyond the pond. It was not afraid to be different, and so it found freedom. Emmy felt a quiet joy blossom within her. She understood now that her differences were not obstacles, but gifts, signs of her own unique journey. She began to embrace her path with greater confidence, trusting that, like the fish, she would find her way. The story of the unusual fish became a cherished lesson in the monastery. The monks spoke of it, often reminding each other that true harmony is not found in sameness, but in the courage to be oneself. The pond, once a place of quiet reflection, now shimmered with the memory of the fish's leap, a reminder that every being has a place in the world, no matter how different their journey may seem. As the seasons changed and the lotus flowers bloomed anew, Emmy found peace in her heart. She moved through her days with a gentle strength, grateful for the lessons of the pond and the wisdom of Master Daichi. And sometimes, in the quiet hours of dawn, she would sit by the water's edge, watching the ripples and listening for the distant splash of a fish leaping into the unknown, reminded always that the bravest journeys begin with a single determined leap against the current. May you too find the courage to swim your own path, to honor your differences, and to trust that your journey, however unusual, is exactly as it should be. Let the story of the unusual fish guide you into restful sleep, and may your dreams be filled with the freedom of clear waters and the promise of new worlds waiting to be discovered. The Dream of the Stone. In a secluded Zen garden surrounded by ancient walls and shaded by whispering bamboo, there lay a stone unlike any other. It was neither the largest nor the most beautiful among the stones that dotted the raked gravel, but it had a quiet presence that drew the gaze of every visitor. Smooth and rounded by centuries of wind and rain, the stone had watched the world change. Seasons pass and generations of monks come and go. The stone's home was a place of stillness and contemplation. Each morning, the monks would sweep the gravel into perfect patterns, their movements as calm as the surface of a still pond. Birds would sing in the early light, and the scent of pine would drift through the air. The stone rested in the garden's heart, silent and unmoving, content to witness the gentle flow of life. Yet beneath its tranquil surface, the stone harbored a secret longing. Night after night, as the moon cast silver shadows across the garden, the stone would gaze up at the sky and wonder, what would it be like to soar among the clouds, to feel the wind rushing past, to see the world from above? It was a dream. The stone kept hidden, for stones were meant to stay grounded, to endure, to be the foundation upon which others walked. One night, as the world slept and the garden lay bathed in moonlight, the stone drifted into a dream. In this dream, it felt itself growing lighter, its weight falling away like a discarded cloak. Slowly, gently, the stone began to rise, lifting from the earth as if carried by an invisible hand. Higher and higher it floated, leaving behind the raked gravel, the mossy lanterns, the silent halls of the monastery. The stone soared above the garden, the rooftops, the winding paths that led to the distant mountains. The world below was a tapestry of shadows and light, a patchwork of memory and possibility. The stone felt a joy it had never known, a sense of freedom, of boundless potential. It drifted on the night wind, spinning and tumbling, laughing in the language of stones. As it floated higher, the stone glimpsed the river that wound through the valley, sparkling in the moonlight. It saw the forests where deer slept among the ferns, the villages where lanterns flickered in the darkness, the distant peaks capped with snow. The stone felt the cool embrace of the clouds, the gentle caress of the breeze. For the first time, it understood the world not as a place of stillness, but as a dance of movement and change. But as the night deepened, the stone began to feel a longing for home. The wind, once exhilarating, now felt cold and lonely. The stars, though beautiful, seemed distant and silent. The stone remembered the warmth of the sun on its surface, the gentle touch of moss, the quiet companionship of the other stones. It realized that in its longing to fly, it had forgotten the simple joys of being exactly where it was. With a gentle sigh, the stone let itself fall. It drifted down through the clouds, past the rooftops, over the sleeping garden, until it settled once more in its familiar place among the raked gravel. As it touched the earth, it felt a deep sense of peace, a contentment that came not from soaring above the world, but from belonging to it. When the morning sun rose, the monks found the stone, just as they had left it, silent and still. Yet something had changed. The stone seemed to glow with a quiet light, as if it held the memory of its dream within. The monks paused in their sweeping, sensing the stone's new serenity, and felt their own hearts grow lighter. The days passed, and the stone watched the world with new eyes. It noticed the way the sunlight danced on the water, the way the wind rustled the bamboo, the way the seasons painted the garden in endless shades of green and gold. It listened to the stories whispered by the other stones, the songs of the birds, the laughter of the children. It felt the steady pulse of life, the quiet miracle of existence. Sometimes, when the moon was full and the garden was bathed in silver light, the stone would remember its dream. It would gaze up at the sky and smile, knowing that it had touched the stars, if only for a moment. But it no longer longed to fly. It was content to rest, to witness, to simply be. The stone's dream became a quiet legend among the monks. They would sit by the stone in the cool of the evening, sharing stories and sipping tea, feeling the peace that radiated from its presence. They learned through the stone's example that happiness is not found in chasing distant dreams, but in embracing the beauty of the present moment. That even the most ordinary stone can hold a universe of wonder if only we take the time to notice. As the years rolled on, the stone became part of the monastery's spirit. Novices would whisper about the stone that once dreamed of flying, and elders would smile, remembering their own restless nights and wild imaginings. The garden flourished, the temple thrived, and the stone remained a quiet witness to the dance of life. And so, under the endless sky in the heart of the ancient garden, the stone rested. It had dreamed of flying, and in doing so, had learned the greatest secret of all. That peace is not found in distant places, but in the gentle acceptance of where we are, right here, right now. As the night deepens and the world grows still, may you too find the peace of the stone. May your dreams carry you to wondrous places, but may your heart always find its way home. Let the gentle wisdom of the stone guide you into restful sleep, and may you awaken with a sense of calm, ready to greet the new day with open eyes and a grateful heart. The distant bell in the heart of a mountain valley, where mist curled around ancient pines and the river sang its endless song, there stood a Zen monastery, known for its tranquility. The monastery's wooden halls echoed with the footsteps of monks and the gentle sweep of brooms, but above all, it was known for the great bronze bell that hung in its tower. The bell was old cast generations ago, and its sound was said to reach even the most distant corners of the valley. Every evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains and the shadows grew long, a monk would climb the narrow stairs of the bell tower. With careful reverence, he would strike the bell, sending its deep, resonant voice rolling out across the land. The villagers in the valley would pause in their work, children would fall silent, and even the birds seemed to listen as the sound drifted over fields and forests, through winding paths and hidden streams. For many, the bell was a call to reflection, a reminder to let go of the day's worries and return to the present moment. But for one young monk named Haru, the sound of the bell held a special kind of magic. Haru was a novice new to the ways of Zen. He was earnest and kind, but his mind was restless, always chasing after questions and dreams. He loved the bell, not just for its sound, but for the silence it left behind. A silence that seemed to shimmer in the air long after the last note had faded. One evening, after the bell had been rung and the other monks had returned to their evening chores, Haru lingered in the garden. The moon was rising, casting silver light across the stones and raked gravel. The air was cool, and the world felt hushed as if it were holding its breath. Haru sat beneath a cherry tree, listening for the last echoes of the bell. He wondered how far its sound traveled, whether it reached the farthest villages or perhaps even the mountains themselves. He closed his eyes and let the memory of the bell's voice fill him, feeling its deep vibration in his chest. As he sat in meditation, Haru's thoughts began to slow. The worries that had filled his mind all day, the chores left undone, the lessons yet to be learned drifted away, carried off by the lingering sound of the bell. In their place was a deep, quiet stillness, a sense of being held by the night itself. Suddenly, Haru felt as if he could hear everything. The rustle of bamboo leaves, the distant cry of an owl, the gentle lap of water at the pond's edge. Each sound was clear and vivid, yet none disturbed the peace that filled him. It was as if the bell had opened a door to a deeper world, one where every moment was alive with quiet wonder. As the moon climbed higher, Haru felt a presence beside him. He opened his eyes and saw the abbot, Master Shin, standing in the moonlight. "You hear the bell even now?" the abbot asked, his voice soft. Haru nodded. "Yes, Master. Even though it has stopped, I can still feel it. It's as if the sound lingers in the silence." Master Shin smiled. "That is the true gift of the bell. Its sound awakens us, but its silence teaches us to listen. When we truly listen, we discover that the world is never silent. There is always something calling us back to the present moment." Haru looked up at the moon, its reflection shimmering in the pond. "Sometimes I wish I could follow the sound of the bell to see where it goes." The abbot sat beside him. "The bell's sound travels far, but its true journey is within. Each time you hear it, let it guide you deeper into yourself. Listen not just with your ears, but with your whole being. In the stillness that follows, you may find answers to questions you never thought to ask." Haru closed his eyes again, breathing in the cool night air. He let the memory of the bell's sound fill him, then let it fade, leaving only the gentle rhythm of his breath and the quiet pulse of the world around him. From that night on, Haru made it his practice to listen deeply, not just to the bell, but to every sound, every silence, every heartbeat of the world. He found peace in the hush of dawn, in the laughter of children, in the rustle of wind through the trees. The bell became his teacher, its distant voice a reminder that every moment, no matter how quiet, was filled with meaning. As the seasons turned and Haru grew in wisdom, he came to understand that the bell's true power was not in its sound, but in the silence it left behind. A silence that invited all who heard it to return to themselves, to rest in the deep, healing stillness at the heart of all things. And so the bell continued to ring each evening, its voice echoing across the valley, calling all who heard it to pause, to listen, and to remember the peace that dwells in the quiet spaces between sounds. As you drift into sleep, let the memory of the distant bell guide you into silence. Listen for the gentle music of the night, the whisper of wind, the hush of your breath, the steady beat of your heart. In that silence, may you find rest, healing, and the deep peace that lies within. The colorless painting in a quiet Zen monastery, nestled at the edge of a serene forest, there lived a master known for his wisdom and his unusual approach to teaching. Master Rio was an artist as well as a monk, and his paintings were admired by all who visited the temple. His scrolls, adorned with delicate ink strokes and subtle washes of color, hung in meditation halls and guest rooms, each one a meditation in itself. Yet among all his works, there was one painting that puzzled everyone. A large scroll displayed in the main hall that seemed to be completely blank. No lines, no shapes, no colors, only the smooth expanse of white rice paper framed in dark lacquered wood. Visitors would stand before it in silence, searching for meaning, while the monks would bow respectfully each time they passed. One spring morning, a young novice named Kenji approached Master Rio as he sat in the garden, grinding ink for his next painting. Kenji was thoughtful and curious, always eager to understand the lessons hidden in the daily life of the monastery. Master Kenji asked, bowing deeply, "I have admired your paintings since the day I arrived. Each one seems to hold a story, a teaching. But I do not understand the colorless painting in the main hall. Why is it empty? What does it mean?" Master Rio smiled, his eyes twinkling with quiet amusement. He motioned for Kenji to sit beside him on the wooden veranda where the morning sun cast soft shadows on the stones. "Tell me, Kenji," the master said, "when you look at that painting, what do you see?" Kenji hesitated, searching for the right words. "At first, I see nothing. Then I see the blankness, the emptiness. It feels strange, like something is missing." Master Rio nodded. "And what do you feel when you look at it?" Kenji thought for a moment. "I feel a kind of stillness, but also a longing. I want to find something in it, but there is nothing to hold on to." The master poured tea for them both, the steam curling in the cool air. He gazed out at the garden where cherry blossoms drifted on the breeze. "Kenji, most people think that a painting must be full of colors, shapes, and stories to be beautiful. We fill our lives in the same way with plans, memories, worries, and dreams. But sometimes the greatest beauty lies in what is not there. The colorless painting is a mirror. It reflects your own mind, your own longing, your own search for meaning." Kenji listened, letting the words sink in. He glanced at the painting through the open door, its blankness now shimmering in the morning light. Master Rio continued, "In Zen, we learn to appreciate emptiness not as a lack, but as a space of possibility. The blank scroll is not empty, it is open. It invites you to rest, to breathe, to let go of what you think should be there. In that openness, you may discover a peace deeper than any story or image can offer." Kenji sipped his tea, feeling the warmth spread through him. He closed his eyes and imagined standing before the colorless painting, letting go of the urge to find meaning, simply allowing himself to be present. As the days passed, Kenji returned often to the main hall. He would stand before the blank painting in silence, watching how his mind responded. Some days he felt restless, his thoughts racing to fill the emptiness. Other days he felt calm, as if the painting absorbed his worries and returned only stillness. One evening, as the sun set and the hall filled with golden light, Kenji stood before the painting and felt a sudden clarity. He realized that the painting was not about what was missing, but about what was possible. It was a space for his own heart and mind to rest, to expand, to dream. He bowed deeply to the painting, gratitude filling him. He understood now that emptiness was not something to fear or avoid, but something to embrace, a gift of spaciousness in a crowded world. Word of Kenji's insight spread among the monks, and soon others began to visit the colorless painting each finding their own lesson in its silent expanse. Some saw freedom, others saw peace, and a few even saw the beginnings of their own stories written in invisible ink. Master Rio watched quietly, pleased that his most mysterious work had begun to reveal its secret. He knew that, in time, each person would come to see the painting not as empty, but as full of possibility, of presence, of quiet joy. The seasons turned, and the monastery thrived. The colorless painting remained in the main hall, unchanged, and unchanging, a silent teacher to all who passed. Visitors from distant lands would stand before it, puzzled at first, then moved by a sense of wonder they could not explain. And so the painting became a legend, its emptiness a source of endless reflection. It reminded all who saw it that sometimes the greatest wisdom is found not in what we add to our lives, but in what we are willing to let go. As you close your eyes, tonight imagine standing before the colorless painting. Let its openness fill you with peace. Release your worries, your plans, your need for answers. In the gentle emptiness, may you find rest, healing, and the quiet beauty of simply being. Sleep well, and let the colorless painting be your guide to a night of deep restorative dreams. The sleepless night of the Zen master. In the heart of a mountain monastery where the air was crisp and the silence deep, Master Hakuin was known for his unwavering calm. The monks admired his serenity, and many traveled from distant lands to learn the art of Zen under his gentle guidance. The monastery was a haven of peace, where the days flowed with the rhythm of meditation, chanting, and mindful work. Yet, even in this sanctuary, there were nights when rest would not come. One such night arrived with a restless wind. The moon hung low, casting pale shadows across the tatami mats. The world outside was quiet, save for the occasional sigh of bamboo and the distant call of a night bird. Inside his modest room, Master Hakuin sat upright on his futon, eyes open, his mind as awake as the moon itself. Sleep eluded him. Thoughts drifted in and out of his awareness, memories of students' questions unanswered, the subtle ache of age in his bones. He listened to the hush of the night, feeling the gentle rise and fall of his breath. He did not resist the wakefulness, nor did he chase after sleep. Instead, he allowed himself to be present with the moment just as it was. As the hours passed, a soft knock sounded at his door. It was Sora, a young monk troubled by his own sleeplessness. Sora bowed deeply, his eyes weary. "Master, I cannot sleep. My mind is noisy and my body restless. I fear I will disturb the others if I wander the halls. What should I do when sleep will not come?" Master Hakuin gestured for Sora to enter and sit beside him. The two sat in silence for a while, the only sound the rhythmic ticking of a wooden clock. Sora, the master, began softly. "There are nights when even the mountains do not sleep. The wind stirs the trees, whisper, and the moon keeps watch. To be awake in such hours is not a curse but an invitation." Sora looked puzzled. "An invitation, master?" "Yes," Hakuin replied, his voice as gentle as the night. "An invitation to meet yourself as you are, without judgment or resistance. When you cannot sleep, do not struggle. Sit quietly and become aware of your breath. Notice each sensation, the cool air on your skin, the weight of your body, the thoughts that come and go. Do not try to change anything, simply observe." Sora closed his eyes and followed the master's instructions. He noticed the tension in his shoulders, the flutter of his heart, the cascade of thoughts tumbling through his mind. At first, the restlessness grew stronger, but as he continued to observe, something shifted. The thoughts began to slow, the tension eased, and a sense of calm washed over him. Master Hakuin continued, "Sleep is like a shy animal. If you chase it, it runs away. If you sit quietly and make space, it may come to you on its own. But even if it does not, you can find rest in simply being present." They sat together in the darkness, breathing in unison. The silence between them was full, not empty. A silence that held the promise of peace. Sora spoke again, his voice softer now. "But, Master, what if I am tired tomorrow? What if I cannot do my work well?" Hakuin smiled. "Tomorrow will take care of itself. Tonight your task is not to sleep, but to be awake with kindness. If you are tired, you will rest when you can. Life is not always as we wish it to be. Sometimes we are given wakefulness instead of sleep, rain instead of sunshine, questions instead of answers. Our practice is to accept each gift, whatever it may be." The hours slipped by. Sora felt his body grow heavier, his mind quieter. He realized that he was no longer afraid of his sleeplessness. It was simply another part of the night, another experience to be welcomed with gentle attention. As dawn approached, Master Hakuin and Sora rose and stepped outside. The sky was painted with the first blush of morning, and the world was hushed in anticipation. The master turned to his student and said, "See how the night gives way today, effortlessly and without hurry. So too do our minds move from wakefulness to rest, from rest to activity in their own time." Sora bowed deeply, gratitude shining in his eyes. He understood now that peace was not found in forcing sleep or chasing away thoughts, but in the quiet acceptance of each moment just as it is. From that night forward, whenever sleep would not come, Sora sat in stillness, following his breath, letting the night unfold around him. He learned to trust the rhythm of his own body and mind, and in doing so, found a deeper rest than sleep alone could offer. And so, in the mountain monastery, under the watchful gaze of the moon and stars, Master Hakuin and his students discovered the secret of the sleepless night, that true rest is found not in the absence of wakefulness, but in the gentle embrace of whatever the night may bring. As you settle into your own bed, may you remember the lesson of the Zen master. If sleep comes, welcome it with gratitude. If it does not sit quietly, breathe and know that you are exactly where you need to be. In the stillness of the night, may you find peace, acceptance, and the quiet joy of simply being. Sleep well or wake well. Both are gifts. Both are part of the great dance of life. As the final story drifts into silence, may you feel the gentle embrace of peace settling over you like a soft blanket. Let the wisdom of these Zen tales guide your heart into stillness, your mind into calm, and your body into restful sleep. No matter where your dreams may wander tonight, remember that you are always home in the present moment, safe, whole, and deeply at ease. Good night, and may serenity accompany you through every breath until the morning light.